In this part I will create few basic assets and then I will use geonodes to spread them around on the ground. Then in the end I will create a basic lighting for the scene. Okay, so we got our ground, we got our Diglett, and what we need next is a little bit of grass that will spread around. Click somewhere in here and then press Shift A and add another mesh. It's going to be plain. I will put it in here, scale it down and press dot on the numpad to go to that object. I need to press R, then E 90, scale E to look like grass, edit mode, select it, scale it down, E to extrude, move it up and scale it way down. Then Ctrl R, Ctrl C, Ctrl R, we add a few cuts in here, escape. Fine, so we have our grass strand, and really it will be much more narrow at the bottom. So S and scale it, but only in E, and then a little bit scale it up in here and in here, here, so it will actually look like grass. Now we can use a little bit of proportional editing to select this one, enable it, press G and move our mouse wheel until we'll see a circle. Then we will move it a little bit like that. That effect is perfect. We'll move it again, make the circle smaller and move it like that. And now I will work a little bit like that to create a few strands of this grass. Okay, so we achieved some really adequate looking grass. For now it will be sufficient. We will think about modifying it further down the road when we will add the shading. I will add some kind of icosphere, scale it, scale it in Z. Always in Z. I don't have to be really precise because, you know, rocks are pretty random. And what I can really do to quickly generate some rocks is to add a modifier to it. And again the displacement modifier. And I will create new texture. I will leave the edit mode. So I set the displacement and I choosing clouds again. And I'm shading smooth. But I will go to the vertex normals and I will put auto smooth in here. I will crank it up to like 45 for this random sharp edge, no edge look. And then again to texture properties. And I will increase the size of the displacement, the depth. I will look something pleasing. I will scale our rock a little bit. Now it looks pretty much nice and random. So I can use this modifier to set coordinates to the global. Now it looks a little bit different because if I duplicate it and move it around, each one of those will look different. Now I can see I need to modify the strength of it, like 5. Global coordinates are different, so the effect is really much different. I will modify it further by scaling it in Z to be more ball-like. And then Shift D, duplicate it again, and you can see the rocks automatically moving. And if I have them all in here, Object, Apply, Visual Geometry to Mesh. And I created some meshes of those rocks. And they will look sharp or flat. Just some randomness. So that this will be rocks. We'll remove the timeline and we'll replace it with Geometry Node Editor. We'll select the plane that will be our scatter object. We will close those elements. I hope we will not change them by now. And then we will add another modifier, and that will be geometry nodes at the bottom of our list. So we got an input for our geometry and an output for it. what we want to do is take those 3 plants, and I see the problem in here. There should be 4 plants. That cylinder landed in the wrong group, so we'll move it to the plants. Okay, we need to take those 4 plants and scatter it around that plane. So with that plane selected, we use Shift A, we use points. We need to distribute the points. So we put it in here, and then we randomly distribute those points on that geometry, but we don't want to lose that geometry, so we need Shift A, geometry, join geometry, put it in here, and put original geometry back to this group. So we got the geometry and the points. We move it down a little bit, and we are distributing points, but we need to tell the nodes what to distribute. So again, points, and then point instance, and we will select the collection that's called plants, and we will not generate the whole collection. We'll just generate that part of it. And I can see that there are some problems with some of our plants, because we need to select it, press object, that's common problem, apply rotation and scale, and now the rotation is exactly how it looks like. All the plants are straight, and the scale is pretty much perfectly accurate. But we don't have enough of this grass. We need to increase the density and increase it by a lot. That would be okay. I think I put 10 too much in there. Okay, so after a crash, I rebuilt the nodes, the point where we stood before, and we will need to add some more grass. Okay, so there is a dot in here, which I didn't saw. And still, that's not enough. Let's try to type it again, but now we will use 800. And it looks almost too dense. We'll move it 500. And now I see. Okay, that would be it. How it will look from our camera. Can select it again and move it a little bit. Move it back, down, something like that. Okay, so it looks really nice, but we want less grass around the Diglett. So what we need in here is attribute, color ramp. We need to create an attribute. So we select our plane, go here. We will create the vertex group. We call it for example, and then we'll take this name, put it in here, and print it here. So we take the vertex value that's between 0 and 1 and we use it as our density. And it's nothing. We could of course switch it up. Okay, so we can now go to the vertex weight paint mode and we can paint it so we'll reveal our mound with the Diglett in there. And to avoid any weird strands of grass, we'll need to paint it also inside. So that should be it. And we can decrease the strength and paint it a little bit more around it, so much more grass will disappear. And I think we can go back to the object mode, select our camera, press G and move it a little bit back like that. We added this color ramp in here, and by moving it we can increase or decrease the fall off and how sharp it should be. We could change random distribution to poison disk distribution, and then we could add some distance to it, and that's way too much. 1/10 of this. So random or poison with 1/10 of the distance. Basically, that's something that I'm going for. But of course we can make it look much better by randomizing the size and shape of grass. Okay, so what we can do here to improve the look of our grass is to add some kind of randomness to its shape, size and rotation. So we'll use Shift A and then attribute randomize by a vector, and we will want to randomize rotation to only Z. So 0 and 0 and that's Z, and we'll rotate it from 1/10 to I don't know why, but it looks pretty uniform. So I will rotate it from 0 to, I don't know, 69. Now it looks pretty much random. Shift A and add attribute, another one, randomize, and then we want to randomize size of it. So scale. That's it. We'll again randomize it by a vector. And we don't want to randomize it that much. So it will be like x and e. It's going to be 1 to 1 and a little bit, and from 0, no, from like 1.6 to 1.2 if we're talking about the size. But now I feel that it looks too small, much too small. If our Diglett is 30 centimeters in diameter and that's some kind of wild grass, it should be much larger. So I will put like 1 and 3 to 1 and 9 in here. Enlarged a little bit. And I want to modify the density. But I feel that's too much. A little bit less. A little bit more. I want to be precise, so it would look good like that. And they are pretty much too big, but it doesn't really matter. So we have all this, we can select it, and that's the really best thing about the geometry nodes. And we can press Shift D, move it up. And we can instance in here the rocks. We can again join the geometry and join the rocks with it and add it to the and we won't use collection, but we will use object collection rocks, not the whole collection. Okay, so where are our rocks? Because I can't see them, so I'm doing something wrong, or they are too small. So we'll turn off the grass and we'll get him back here. Basically, I think that the rocks are too big. Okay, so we'll select it, object, apply rotation and scale. And then we need to select random. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, just give me a second, I will find what's the problem. Okay, so I'm here. Our rocks were not in the rocks collection, and now they are, but they are clamped up together. We don't want it to be whole collection. Why they are clamped up? Okay, so I've just switched those two values, so we'll achieve more rocks where there is no grass. And the effect I'm going for is like this small mound, small pile of dirt that Diglett always rise up when he's digging out. So we got much too many rocks in here, so we'll decrease the density. We will use something like that. We'll go back to the poison disk. what we need in here is to just simply rotate it once, and we can add rotation in other axis, so that would be truly random. The scale, we need it to be much, we want them to be much smaller. So up to the 1. So again, there's a lot of tweaking in here, but I want the size of it to be much more random. And a lot of them are really flat, because it can randomize, so the 2 attributes will be really flat and one will be really long. So I have to randomize less to avoid this problem. That randomization will be fine. Increasing density. So let's reveal our grass again. And that's it. That's what I was going for. Maybe I want to cut the rocks a little bit sharper. Cut it like earlier. So we just move onto the grass territory. When we have all our objects in the scene, what we have to do is to start shading it. But before we will start shading it, we need some light in here. So we will move to the viewport shading view. Okay, so after we added all the things that we need to onto our scene, we need to start to shade it. And for that we need to switch to the viewport shading view. And now everything is gray, because we got no lights in here. So basically I will select basic scene collection, Shift A, add light and sun, move G, Z, and move it a little bit to the side so it will be more interesting. It doesn't matter where the sun is, but we can move it right somewhere in there, so it won't disturb. We don't want the color in here. We don't want the background to be shaded just gray. We don't want it to be the cosmic depth of space, so we will shade it with the sky texture. And we will use not Nishita but Hosakan Wing. And the strength of it is huge. Okay, because I added 5 strength to the sky and it should be on 1. And I left the sun on 1, because here where you can added the strength of sun, so we'll add 5. And now everything should look normal. Okay, so we got like this blues in the darkness. That's pretty much natural for the natural outdoor light. That's it for now. In the next part I will create procedural shaders and materials for each and every asset in the scene. At the end I will add few finishing touches and it will be done.